Welcome to Weighing In with Travis Hartman. We have a special segment here in this corner. I am with esteemed 75 fight professional heavyweight Chauncy Welliver. Chauncy, I'll let you talk about your career briefly because I want to give everybody the credentials, but we're going to get into the meat of this. And the meat of this is this recent fight with Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. But first, please tell everybody your credentials if you would.
So I was at one time ranked number 5 in the world by the WBC, number 6 in the world by the WBO. Fought an Olympic gold medalist, held the WBC Continental Americas, the WBO Asia Pacific Oriental, the WBC Asian title. There's many belts. There's many belts. But the one thing that I hold high is that I was ranked number 5 in the world. It's such a thick division then. It was pretty
That's
thick.
huge. That's huge.
And I got to fight the world famous Rob Calloway. So
let's go, Rob.
Go, Rob. Great guy, you know what I mean? But no, you know, and the beauty to having those 75 fights, you eventually get in there with some guys that are good. And again, I know it sounds like I'm joking, but and I'm not just bringing him up. But Rob, I mean, like I was honored to fight Rob. Like I went to St. Joe, to his hometown, to watch him fight. You know, when he had the fight with Tutaki in 2005, and I left there like, I don't know if I want to fight this guy. And honestly, keeping it real, and I have no problem doing this. I left, you know, because I had just won the WBC Youth World title right before that. I thought it's time to make that next step. I need the Americas or the NABF, and Rob Calloway is a perfect guy. And I went, and I was like, he's a little too much right now. and then I had taken a couple fights, and then he fought Terry Smith, and then I thought, okay, he's still a little too much, you know. And then obviously, you know, age being what it is, you know, we let him digress down to the point where I said now's the perfect time. But Rob's my dude. You know, Rob's a great guy. Rob's a very, very good friend. Read his book even. That's and I hate reading, so that's you gotta love somebody when you read their book.
Rob is a great guy. I actually signed my first promotional contract with him. My first 4 fights were under Rob Calloway's promotion company. That's where we met you. I saw you at one of the shows there. You were telling off the air October of 2005, which would have been like my first year as a pro. But really fast is that also your credentials, which make sense here because we're going to talk about Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. You were a sparring partner for Mike Tyson.
I was a sparring partner for Mike, and here's the beauty to sparring Mike Tyson. First off, after you spar Mike Tyson, you're never going to look across the ring and think, "Oh man, this guy's scary." This and you think like, dude, I've been here, done this here. The only guy after sparring Mike that I was a little nervous for was David Tua. That was the only guy, you know, and I sparred many others. I sparred many other guys, but David Tua is the only one. I was like, okay, this is scary. Yeah. But once you've been in there with Mike, you've done it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Frank Sinatra said, you know, if you could make it here, you could make it anywhere. You know,
I'm over here agreeing with you, like I've been there, but I have not. But being in the ring with Mike Tyson, whether it's sparring or a fight, is legit, brother. It doesn't get much more legit than that.
You know, but that, you know, you have, Travis. First off, let me kind of gloat you for a minute. You're a badass, you know. But some of the things you did, like I remember going down there, and I got no reason to kiss ass here. I was like, oh my god, it's Travis Hartman, because you know I had followed you on St. Joe's Best or whatever the website was, the forum. And like I followed you. I was thoroughly impressed. So first off, don't ever knock yourself because a fighter's a fighter, and that's why, you know, whether you have one, have a million, you got to give guys credit. Which is why Mike Tyson should have respected Jake Paul a hell of a lot more than what he did. Yep. And I'm not saying he went out of his way to disrespect him or anything. He thought he was just some punk Disney kid. And guess what? Most people did. You know, people still think that. You know, some of the stupid rumors we're hearing, you know, and conspiracies.
So that's the question.
Mike's old. Mike didn't take him serious, and he got his butt kicked because of it.
So what is your opinion when people come to you and they tell you that they think the fight was staged or it was scripted or Mike took a dive? What do you say to that? Do you believe that?
No, not at all. Because here's the thing, taking a dive is just that. You go down. Mike didn't. You know what I mean? I mean, come on. He was pretty exhausted. You think if he was trying to take a dive, he'd be like, you know what? I could go down and still make everybody happy. And he didn't. You know what I mean? Do I think he was the best Mike? No. Who's great at 58 years old? I mean, people are forgetting just a couple of years ago, obviously not as high profile, Evander Holyfield, who obviously proved to be better than Mike Tyson, got, I mean, one rounded by Vanderlei. I think it was Vanderlei Silva, was it?
Vitor Belfort.
Vitor Belfort. Yep.
Yeah.
It's all the same, bro. It's all the same.
Yeah.
No, I mean, so people are downing Mike, but are we saying Evander Holyfield took a fall? I mean, that was way uglier.
Yep.
Mike, he did a cash grab. All power to him. We would all do it. You do it today.
100%. And that's
if somebody asked me to fight my daughter tonight for 20 million, I'm like, I will go out there and kick her in the face first thing. You know what I mean? And she's 11 years old.
Poor Lemon. It's Lemon, right?
She got to watch out now. You can't be getting in trouble. Huh? Not everybody knows I'll fight her. No, but I love the first question always comes. I had 75 pro fights, and I had a pretty decent level.
You did. You're 5 by the WBC. 5 by the WBC. That's as legit as it gets, brother. It is.
Well, and for legit. 2 years.
That's legit.
It was a fun ride. But the number one question I always got, what was it like sparring Mike Tyson? I wanted to say, you realize there's 20 other world champions I've sparred. There's a gold medalist. There's this and that. We sold out the O2 Arena in Berlin. We sold out all the big Chinese venues, things like that. Can we not talk about that? Do you want to talk about a sparring session? And for everybody says, this is just a glorified sparring session with Jake Paul. Guess what? We all tuned in.
Did you see the numbers? The numbers now are saying over 109 million globally tuned into that.
Wow. I mean, good. Sorry. Rearranging my phone here. We're switching hands.
You're all good.
Good. Our sport hasn't been that big in how long?
I mean, that's
what I mean.
Never. That's a record.
Where, people bang on Jake Paul and things like that. Let him, by all means, if he's going to bring those numbers in and bring that attention, stay. Fight anybody you want. Fight your brother. Fight Evander Holyfield again. Fight Mike Tyson again. Fight whoever. Keep these numbers up, because I'll tell you what we got. And the one thing that everybody's talking about, we got to watch Barrios. I've never seen him fight. I didn't watch the Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano first fight. I watched them fight. Guess what? I'm not a fan of women's boxing. I'm now a huge fan of women's boxing. I mean, we all say the same thing before. Oh, it's boring, it's this and that. We all have a different perception this week.
It used to be, honestly, 3-4 years ago, I would have said it, and I said it on the podcast. I was like, it's not exciting. It's just not. 2022, Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano, when they fought the first time, I watched it. I chose them as my fight of the year, not women's fight of the year. I chose them as fight of the year, and I wasn't kidding. It was intriguing. I was on the edge of my seat watching them fight, the first one. But I got to jump into this one. So now you've been in the ring with Mike Tyson. You've been in the ring with 20 world champions. You sparred with Mike. You've done all of that with Mike. You've seen Mike when Mike was at the best, when Mike was Mike, right? So people are sending this video around of showing, it's like an edit of Mike. He slipped, and then kind of went up and didn't pull the trigger, and Mike and Jake Paul kind of slid out of the way. What do you say to those people when you see that edit? Mike... For me, I'm just like, yeah, that was real, but Mike didn't pull his punch. I don't think he could pull the trigger because he's 58. Right?
Your timing's gone. His timing is 19 years gone. His anger isn't there. I'm sure you've done it, Travis. We go in there and spar, these 15, 16-year-old kids, and they're moving, and you see the shot, and you just can't do it. And we're me, to the Mike Tyson. So how do you expect Mike to do that? And I'm sparring a kid that's never boxed before. Jake Paul's got experience, whether people like it or not, whether they like him or not. Do I think he's going to go on to be a world champion? Absolutely not. Do I think he could be a contender? Yeah, actually, I do.
Yeah, I mean, I listen. I feel like we're in an echo chamber, but I agree 100%. I've said this from the start. I said, listen, do I like to admit that Jake Paul can fight? He can fight. I don't like to admit it, but he's earned it in the realm of the kid. Man, you know BJ Flores, who helped train him at the very beginning too, and I know BJ. BJ came on the podcast as well. We talked about it. He's like, Trav, the dude puts the work in. He gets his butt kicked in sparring. In the beginning, he was getting his butt kicked in sparring, and then they were bringing in, I think, Chad Dawson came in and sparred with him, like legit sparred with him, like punching him around, and the kid took it and kept fighting. And I'm just like, I respect that. But what people it's hard to like Jake Paul, right? It is. I feel like it is. And that's what people they get caught up in their emotions. And that's where I'm just like, the whole Tyson allure, like you were talking about, nobody's really paid attention to boxing like they did. 109 million people globally. Do you know why? It wasn't because of Jake Paul. It was because they wanted that glimpse of the nostalgia of the 2000 of early, honestly, the 90s Mike Tyson. But what they didn't realize is, even though he's 58, and this is what I try to explain to people too, he was 58 years old. And maybe you could touch on this too. He was 58 years old, but he lived a rough life. He had a cocaine addiction. He had a substance abuse problem. He was on bipolar medication for a very long time. He had 60 pro heavyweight fights. You've had 75, so you know it's tough on your body. But Mike is not your normal 58-year-old. He also went to prison. He also lived a very rough life all up until he was 15 years old. So that's what I want to throw out there is, when you were training with him and sparring with him, how was that? How was Mike's lifestyle, I guess, what you could see from kind of your vantage point?
He was crazy, and the one, which we all know, but it was very much amplified. I went into it thinking like he's going to, I had a dream the night before the first time we ever sparred. I had a dream he kicked me in the balls. So the whole time I'm like, whoa, stay away. Like, don't let him kick you. And I don't know why I even thought that, and then we went in there. The one thing I can mainly say about the sessions with Mike, he's got a lot of yes men around and not trainers. It's nobody saying, hey, Mike, you need to move your head, or hey, dude, this fat white guy hit you with a jab, dude. How did he do that? They're like, oh, yeah, you did great, Mike. You ate that well. Tell him what he did wrong. But nobody wants to do that because they're scared they're going to get in trouble or fired or screamed at or beat up, or whatever the case.
Yeah.
And one thing I'll say, Mike, I can't give any names, but the guy that sparred right before me got leveled. I mean, dude, I'm talking. This was the first session we ever did, because we ended up doing probably not a bunch, but we probably did 20 rounds. This is over 2 fights. And Mike,
what camps were you in?
The guy before me got leveled. Sorry, go ahead.
What camps were you in? What was he fighting?
I was there for the first the first Lennox Lewis camp, because it was kind of split up, because then he did the thing at the press conference, which I was at, where he freaked out and the fight was off. It was not going to happen. And then the very next one, Clifford Etienne, because I wasn't a hard hitter who threw a lot of punches, and for everybody that kind of forgets Clifford Etienne, that guy was cool. Like he was awesome. He was there and he threw a lot of punches. So what actually got me sparring with Mike, kind of on a side note, was I was sparring with Clifford Etienne.
Okay.
And we were in New York with Shane Mosley, who was getting ready for Vernon Forrest. And they said, hey, can you come spar Mike? I don't know. I was 18 years old. I'm like, and I literally was just thinking, like, I seriously have never made it past 30 seconds on Mike Tyson's punch out. Can we hold on 1 second, Travis? My daughter.
Yeah, go for it.
Sorry. Is that cool?
Good. Yeah, for sure.
Hey, Lemon. Come here. Lemon. Can you come here? On the podcast. So, sorry, kids.
You're all good. I had Terrence Crawford on this, and one of his kids came up to him as well, right in the middle of it. So it's all good.
What was it?
I had Terrence Crawford on the podcast, and one of his kids came up halfway through the podcast, and he was like, "My bad, sorry, Trav," and leg it out. So no, it's this is real life. This is what I love about podcasts is I don't have any rules. I don't have any boundaries. This is my podcast. We can do whatever we want, bro. So this is all good. I know you're a
I
good
like it.
father, man. You have a kid, and it's awesome. I follow you on Facebook. You know, I've been friends for a while, so I love it. But yeah,
Love it.
go on about Tyson. Here's some more about Tyson here. And Clifford.
So the next camp, so no, there really was nothing special in training. So well, actually, I shouldn't say that. There's something very special up in training. He knocked the first guy cold. I'm talking, is he going to be okay?
Like snoring.
Snore, literally, that's the first time I ever seen a man snore in the ring. First time I ever seen a man snore. And I'm like, no. And they're like, who's next? And they said, the white boy is next. And I thought, oh God, like they're talking to him because there was another guy. They said, no, the fat one. I was like, oh man. So I kind of to spell it out and have you picture it. So I'm getting in the ring. I get sit on the ring and I roll under the bottom row. I don't know why. I look like the biggest doof ever. It's like, oh, humbly bumbly going in there. And there's this guy in the corner is like, man, like you better earn your money, man. Like, like he said, if you don't give him work, he's gonna lose this fight. And I kept thinking, like, you're right, man. Like I need to show
and you're
up.
young, yeah. You're trying to make an impression.
Yeah, like and also there's that cocky young part of me. It's like, oh, I'm Chauncy Welliver. I'm gonna show him who I am. Hey, I'm carrying it. Not the case. When that bell rang, I knew very much that's Mike Tyson. I ran like I just stole a gold bar. I touched every square inch of that ring. You would have thought my movement was Hector Camacho style. I mean, I felt amazing. The problem was I wasn't throwing punches.
Yeah.
And the thing is, again, and also I'm. It's okay to say now because I'm done fighting. Nobody ever really knew I was a lefty. So with this session, I had to go righty, but I kept like getting scared, and I would switch up to southpaw.
Yeah.
I'd say, go righty. And I'd go righty, and then I'd fall right back. Kept freaking out. So the bell rings. So, this is only day one. Second round, I go, this guy's telling me, dude, man, like, dude, you're messing it up for him, dude. Like, he's getting no work from you. And I thought, you're 1,000,000% right. Like, I can't argue with you. And I'd love to be like, no, man, come on, man. It's strategy. There was zero strategy. Like, I was just surviving. So the second round, I thought, I'm going to make up for everything I just put him through. And I'm going to go. So I went in, I threw a lot of punches, and I go. And I remember it was toward the end of the round. I remember he was throwing some wicked body shots. And I remember, and they were landing and they were sounding heavy, so they were kind of scaring me. But I remember thinking that sounded like it, but it didn't. I'm okay. And then I'm like, I got a big belly, so kind of a cheat code for me. So at I know times, we all only have 2 rounds, and so, I'm moving around, and Mike steps, and I go southpaw again, and I throw a left hand, and Mike like steps back. I'm not going to say he's hurt. He was not hurt or anything like that, but he caught him. Yeah. He like steps back and is kind of assessing the situation, and I'm looking, and he stepped in. And I threw another one. Time! Oh, dude, that voice of that dude sounded so sweet at that particular moment. And Mike went,
yeah.
and they yell, who's next? And he said, get the fuck out of the ring. And I was like, okay. Like, ready to get out of the ring. R.I.P. to Crocodile, Steve Fitch. He was there, and you get your ass in here, boy. You try to pump. Your fat white ass. We're gonna have Mike rape you. He's gonna rape you out there. I'm like, oh, like please don't. And they're like, he's gonna this, and he's gonna stick it in your blah blah blah. And I'm like, no, I'm not like that, but because. Like I said, there's the part where Travis, I could lie to you right now. And I could tell you, I said, no, You ain't gonna talk to me like that. No, dude. I mean, every bit of me was scared. My guts were just full of every
I mean, how
butterfly
old
you
are
could think
you?
of.
18, 19?
18 years old. 18 years old.
Oh my gosh.
Absolutely just scared. Because imagine the things he really could have done to me. I was, I had 5 amateur fights, USA boxing, and then I did a bunch of tough man too. I'm happy to have had that experience. Obviously the aftermath wasn't very cool.
Yeah.
The next fight we went over and we sparred for Clifford Etienne, and we're sparring kind of. It was kind of a basic camp. There was nothing special to it, and I remember thinking like Cliff might have a shot, man. Cliff's good because I used to spar quite a bit with him,
Yeah.
and Mike. We didn't see Mike for like 3 or 4 days. It's like we'd show up to the gym, we got ready, we're waiting because he's gonna show up any minute now. He never showed up. And finally one day they came in and they said, okay guys, like camp's off, it's over. And we go back to the camp and we turn on TV and Mike's fights off, he got that tattoo on his face.
Oh, the face tattoo.
So they said, so we're thinking that's off, right? Which incidentally, do you know what that tattoo is?
I do not.
It's the beginning of a muka. It's a facial tattoo in New Zealand. You get half your face done. So and so he started. I don't want this anymore. So it's a Maori design from New Zealand is what he started to get. So when you look at
Jeez.
them and you're like, oh yeah, that is part of it. But he got that and obviously fights off. Everybody thought it's going to scab up, it's going to fall off, he's going to cut. So we kept hearing it's on, it's off, it's on, it's off. So we were all at home by now. Then he fought and he knocked him out. Again, nothing great in that camp. Um, who else was there? Myself, um, uh, TC, I forget his name. Bradley Roan, he was there. A couple other guys from Vegas, but I got to spar Mike Tyson. And I'll tell that, I have no problem. I'll tell that story every day for the rest of my life. And
as you should.
And I mean, in our game, I mean, come on, if your kid goes and shoots hoops with Michael Jordan, you're going to tell everybody.
For the rest of my life.
With Mark Rippon one time, Super Bowl MVP. Guess what? I let people know about it.
That's pretty cool.
So I still want to play your
money. She's down. You guys ever come to Orlando? You let us know. She 100% down. You ever come to Orlando? Let us know.
Let me turn this up a little. It's getting lower for some reason. Alrighty, sorry about that.
You ever come to Orlando? Let us know. Like she's in.
Oh yeah, I was kidding. Listen. She'll beat me worse at tennis than Mike beat me up at sparring.
So that's another good point too, right? So you saw the fierceness of Mike in sparring, right?
Yes.
Did you see any of that, a glimmer of that even when he fought Jake?
Last time I sparred Mike with okay, sorry, something just came up. Mike's aged. As you know, we mellow with kids, we mellow with age, we mellow with money. Mike, he doesn't need to box. That killer in him is definitely gone. Everybody that asked me about the fight, I think I'm one of the very few actual boxers that picked Jake Paul to win this thing.
I did as well.
Because, here's the thing, and I'm sure it's the same with you. I didn't want Mike to lose. Agreed. I just knew he was going to. You listen, I'm not going to bet my hard-earned money with my heart. I'm going to bet it with my brain. And people are like, "Oh, you want to bet on it?" And I said, "No, because I don't want to win money off of Mike's back." You know what I mean? I think it's pretty clear, Jay. People are saying certain things about the match. Mike, that was every bit what we all should have expected. Oh, actually, probably a little better. It's a 58-year-old man. Like I said, What's the biggest comparison that we hear in the world in any sport? Michael or LeBron? Well, guess what? You want to find out today? LeBron by 100 points at their best, but Mike's not at his best. That's the difference, and people don't understand that. And I think I think the reason people started talking crap is because they were proved wrong. Their nostalgia, the person they watched or the person they remember sitting down with their dad and watching Mike Tyson with, the guy they watched couldn't beat up this young punk that none of us would want to go to dinner with and have a conversation with.
There you go.
So now guess what? You're the fool. I'm the fool. But like I said, when it comes to betting my money, I'm not betting with my heart, I'm betting with my brain.
There you go. And that's on the podcast. Can you hear me okay?
I hear you, yeah.
Perfect. So like on the podcast, that's what I said too. I was like, listen, my heart, I want Mike to win. I want Mike to knock him out. But yeah. I'm telling you, he's not. And I said this actually. So the first fight was supposed to happen July 20th, and it got postponed because Mike obviously was in the hospital. Come to find out, he had 6 blood transfusions, by the way, almost died in June of this year. So of course he's 58 plus some. But I actually bought tickets. Matter of fact, me and you both did, I think, because you bought tickets.
That's right.
Your wife. I had 7th row for July 20th on the floor at Cowboy Stadium. And then it got postponed. And I was like, and the guys that we were going with, they couldn't go in November. They could only go in July. So we still ended up going to the Mike Perry one because Mike's my buddy. Mike came on the podcast as well. But so long story short is Mike's got that nostalgia and I get it. But what I don't understand is grown men nowadays. I've told these guys too, I've made predictions that became wrong. I thought Anthony Joshua was going to beat Usyk. I was wrong. I came out and I was like, listen, I was massively wrong. I thought Joshua was bigger and better and could beat Usyk. Usyk was better than I thought, okay? I came out and admitted I was wrong. I was like, guys, it's not a big deal to admit that you were wrong about Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. You don't have to say it was scripted or whatever. He lost as he should have. He's 58 against a 27-year-old.
Let me scare my kid really.
Former Mike Tyson sparring partner scaring his daughter.
What's that?
I said former Mike Tyson sparring partner scaring his daughter.
Exactly. There's some things that he said get out of here. No, but it's one of the things where, like I said, yes, absolutely. To continue where we just were, to win. Everybody wanted to win, but nobody wants to admit I was wrong. Yep. And that's a part of society. Nobody wants to say, I said Mike was going to punch his head off, and he didn't. Nobody wants to say that. Oh, it must have been fake. It was cheated. We were robbed. First off, we weren't robbed. It was free.
Yeah.
Was it a great fight? No. Great job on the promoters for making such a solid undercard. The opening, it was what it was.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was not the best. Influencers.
Those next two, definitely. I mean, come on. Those were HBO Showtime worthy. I mean, that Serrano fight, as we were chatting before, I was not a huge fan of either one going into it. They might be my favorite fighters today now. Both of them. That was amazing.
They showed out, man. And that's another thing that people don't listen. I don't have to like Jake Paul, but if you want me to give my honest opinion, he's the first guy that signed Amanda Serrano, and she had like 40 some pro fights and she never made nothing. He signed her and paid her $500,000 for her first fight with him. She made $8 million for that fight with Katie Taylor.
The first one, right?
The first one was $1 million each. No, this one she made $8 million, and I believe Taylor made like 6 point something million. Yeah.
No.
Insane. It's like,
wow.
But guess who did that? Jake Paul. She signed with Jake Paul. He's making that happen, whether you like him or not. And I don't think that anybody is watching Jake Paul and thinking he's a high level pro boxer. I really don't. And I hope people, and they know that, but he takes the sport seriously. He's picking and choosing his fights correctly, but also he's had 12 pro fights, Chauncy. That's what people don't realize. I'm like, who do you expect him to fight at 12 pro fights? I always break it down. I go, here's who Canelo fought in his 12th fight. Here's who Floyd Mayweather fought in his 12th fight. Here's who I fought in my 12th fight. I broke it down for some of the pro fighters that I know. I was like, who'd you fight in your 12th fight? Oh, you fought one guy.
Travis, me and you seem to have the same boxing brain because it's always the same. I tell people, guess what? If you would have asked me then when I was 3 or 4-0 to fight a former UFC great, I'd be like, no. Even though he's not a boxer, I'm not going to fight him. You know, like, but he's MMA. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to do it. He's still a combative sports athlete. I'm not going to do it. He did it. This guy with 0 amateur fights. He's learning on now time. I forgot what that's called. Oh, honestly, I had a brain freeze right there.
His 2 impressive fights to me were the Silva fight. Silva, even though he's 47, Silva just got done beating Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., who obviously has his problems, but he beat him in a straight boxing match. And then he goes off and fights Jake Paul. And Jake Paul not only beats him, but dropped Anderson Silva, who by far is probably one of the greatest MMA guys and a very good boxer. And he's dedicated his last half of his career only to boxing. And Jake Paul beat him. And then Jake Paul beat Nate Diaz. Granted, I know he's bigger and all of that, but still, he beat some actually pretty legit guys. And I'm like, I like you, I'm not going to take those guys on in 5, 6, 7 pro fights. No.
Yeah.
They were world champions.
And remember what everybody said? Oh, Anderson Silva could go pro and beat Mike Tyson right now, Roy Jones. They always said that.
They did.
And then after he lost, his stand-up's not that good. Nate Diaz has the best stand-up. He beats up Andre Ward. It's like, first off, no, he doesn't. But, okay, maybe he's got some good stand-up. Jake Paul beats him. His stand-up wasn't that good. Then who's going to be able to beat him?
Yeah. And like,
and they're just going to keep, and all power to them. These MMA guys are like, let's go make some money. Why not? Our careers are fading out. And like I said, the only one that's kind of, maybe Jake Paul shouldn't have fought Nate Robinson. That's the only one where I'm like, oh,
yeah, that was his pro debut, though.
Well, here's the thing: we fought worse,
and nobody wants to talk about that.
I fought a pro debut, and it was like in my 48th fight. So who am I to say anything? You know what I mean? Those ones are there. Jake Paul, and people forget. Even though I think the scores should have been a little wider, I mean, I think Tommy Fury's good. And he fought him close. He fought him tough, and that was competitive.
He lost a split decision and dropped Tyson. Him.
What's that?
He lost a split decision to Fury, and he dropped Fury in that fight.
Exactly. And legit, and Fury can go. Fury could fight. The other, kind of to touch on, to go on a B plan. I think Logan Paul might be better than Jake. That's what people say. Obviously he's got his WWE stuff. All power to him. Stay away from the sport. If you can make your money doing that, do it. I hope to God he does get some more fights because I really like Logan. And hey, the other night Mike kind of made some. Hey, I'll fight Logan Paul. I was like, please do it, please.
So listen, I bet you don't even realize this either. So Jake Paul fought Mike Tyson, his last fight, obviously we're talking about last weekend. And then he fought Mike Perry, right? Right before Mike Perry, he fought 2 real boxers in a row. He fought a 10-1 pro boxer, a 17-2 pro boxer who had won the Golden Gloves. Okay.
Yep.
And nobody knows about that.
Genius. And he did it off TV, off the grid. Yep. I'm sure you too. I mean, for me, I woke up the next morning and saw it on Fight News. And I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah. Well, he did one of them right by my house, so I was there. Like it was at Crib Royale, and he sold it out. And I think it was on DAZN, but like not a people watched it because they didn't care. And that's where Jake Paul's coming from. He's like, listen, I fought 2 real pro boxers. It didn't sell. Nobody cared. I'm gonna go fight these big name guys who are maybe not boxers. They're MMA guys, but they're stars, bare knuckle guys like Mike Perry. Now, listen, Jake Paul's doing something that nobody could do. If I could convince Mike Tyson to come out and fight me, that's amazing. Like neither one of us could make that happen, right? So it's actually kind of special that Jake Paul made that happen. Mike didn't have to do that. He did not. He's making enough money. He's doing okay. The fact that Jake Paul got under his skin enough and convinced him to come out there and train again. And Mike, this is what I don't think people realize is I believe Mike trained his ass off. I believe Mike tried his best as he could it just wasn't there anymore. That's all.
Yeah.
He showed up to the night of the fight. His legs were gone. He stumbled as he was walking into the ring. You could tell. But the fact that Jake Paul got Mike Tyson off his couch essentially at 58, it's pretty special whether you want to like Mike or like Jake or not. Pretty special, bro.
I mean, amazing. And as you know, even getting in there with those older guys. First off, Mike, one thing that I've been hearing is people saying, "Well, look how great Mike looked with Roy Jones." Love Roy Jones. I do the ring announcing for his fights up here. Roy's just as old as Mike Tyson. Let's keep it real. We're
Roy
talking about
looked
a young,
worse that
hungry prospect that has everything to prove in Jake. Let's say Mike Tyson knocked him out in 8 seconds. Nobody cares. Nobody's gonna be like, Mike, nobody's gonna get excited. Paul fought for respect, and you know what? He earned it in my book. He earned it, and for everybody saying, like, "Oh, I'm in that last round," good. You're talking about a guy that got my daughter and her. They would have never seen Mike Tyson in their life, and then they're going to see him go down and look like a schmuck. Jake Paul saved him. Everybody would be thinking that he could have put him down. Yeah, Mike, come on. Mike's sitting somewhere counting his money right now, thinking like, yeah, that last combo. But Jake Paul, he's great for the sport. He definitely, he had a great springboard, and he jumped on it. And that springboard was Mike Tyson.
That's the best way to say it. He's a brilliant marketer. They sold this fight well. They played on the boomers and our age group type of people's emotions because of the Mike Tyson nostalgia. And I get it. I do, because I had the same my heartstrings. I'm like, come on, Mike, one last time. Like, you could catch him. But I told people 4 or 5 months ago when I was watching the videos they were releasing of Tyson, they were like, do you see how good Tyson looks? I was like, he does, but you're seeing 5 and 10-second clips of him on the mitts. And there's no distance control. The mitt guy is letting him hit him, right? I was like, that doesn't impress. Like, good for Mike at 58. That's awesome. Yes. But as for translating into an actual fight, that didn't impress me at all about Mike doing that. And they knew what they were doing, because every average person that I trained, what I mean by average person is people that didn't box. They're just doing it for, a fitness. Every person I trained for fitness were like, wow, Trav, he looks good. I was like, I go pump. This was like 4 or 5 months ago. I was like, he does, guys, but realize that that's a 5 to 10-second clip. And yeah, he looks good, but also that trainer is making it look good as well too. Like he's sitting.
Exactly. That's our job.
Exactly. It's like he's the trainer is supposed to stand there and let him hit him, right? That's the point of the mitts. Let him hit, and that's what he did. So I think people they were tricked and a little bit deceived in that regard. And it's hard for them to admit it. So the first thing you call is conspiracy. That's where we're at in this day and age. The last 4 or 5 years, conspiracy. There is some conspiracies out there. I agree. This wasn't one of them.
This was not one of them. It's as I said before, nobody wants to admit it. There's a reason your favorite football, and it wasn't because they weren't good enough. Everybody's there's an excuse for every little thing. Mike should have knocked out YouTuber. He should have 20 years ago. And you know what? He probably would have 4 years ago. You know what I mean? Or maybe, but at the same time, for everybody who says that Mike took a fall, you're telling me listen. Oh, okay. Let me make a prediction here. Obviously, a mythological prediction here. Jake Paul would punch holes in Kevin McBride, who beat Mike Tyson 19 years ago. Kevin McBride. I'm talking about Kevin McBride. I think Jake Paul beats him. And Mike Tyson. And watch that interview. He said, "I'm not a killer anymore. I'm not hungry anymore." Well, you don't gain that later. So I think Mike. Hopefully he got it out of his system. Hopefully he got more into his bank account. We know he did. Everybody says is broke. He's got one of the biggest weed brands, and
Yeah, he's not broke.
no, he's not. He's not. He wanted to get it out of his system. He thought he was going to beat up Jake Paul. He followed the masses. He drank the Kool-Aid that people made for him.
Yep. Yeah,
Mike's,
I think you touched on it, and even in his camps way back in the day when he was fighting, he's got a lot of yes men, right?
yeah.
In his camp, I watched some videos of those yes men. One of the guys said, "This is the best I've ever seen Mike." Period. And I'm
I
looking.
actually
I'm
saw
like,
that. It's like, you obviously never saw him fight Michael Spinks.
are you trying to get him killed? Thank God it probably was Jake Paul and not like you trying to get a 58-year-old killed, because I know that that's not true. That's not the best you've ever seen Mike.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't care mitt work, whatever you saw. No effing way. You can't tell me that any of those guys saw Mike in the training camp leading up to Paul. Because like I said, I think Mike took it serious and trained. I do. I believe he trained, but they didn't release all of the videos.
Yeah, yeah. Well, not only that, like you said, those are supposed to do for us. Also, let's watch the whole round where he stopped in the middle of a round. I'm sure that.
Oh yeah.
Let's pan over when he's sitting in the corner after a sparring session. Let's see let's see if he's huffing and puffing and dying.
Yeah.
If he's standing there saying, "I got 8 more."
Yeah.
I got 8 more in me.
Yeah.
However he talks. But there's Travis, I'm sorry, you're never going to be you from 2005. I could train for 1 year straight and lose 150 pounds. I'm never going to be the Chauncy of 2010. Rob Calloway can train his ass off in his garage. He can. He's never going to be the guy that beat Bob Merriman. None of us are. We all want to keep living there. We all still, it's like the guys that still wearing that Letterman's jacket. That's us. We want it. It's not us. We've evolved. We're better people. Yeah, I wish I was a fighter. Yeah, I'll get Jake Paul for you. Guess what? I can't. But I know that, and a lot of fighters not. Nobody. I don't want to say that. I'm not going to tell my friends that. I'm not going to go to school and tell the kids that. I'm going to be like, I'll punch Jake Paul his head up to the moon, but I'm not going to say it, and I'm not going to say, well, I might be a little too old and fat now. Nobody wants to sit there.
Yeah. So you know what? This is a perfect time to wrap this up. And I'm going to wrap this up because of exactly what you just said. It's a Toby Keith song and a quote. And it is, "I'm not as good as I once was, but I'm as good once as I ever was." And I think that kind of sums up this whole thing is we're not who we used to be. And that's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. But the 2004 or 2005 Trav in the boxing ring, he's going to kick the shit out of the 2024 Trav for good reason.
Yeah. Nope. I'm with you, brother. And here's the thing. Back to the Toby Keith. Mike, he threw his once. He gave his one shot. It didn't work. And he's like, I want to go home.
Yep. Collect
I want to go
check.
be a grandpa.
Thank God that I do feel like Jake Paul, in all of his egotistical stuff, I think he showed some massive humility towards the end where he didn't press the action. Because even for me, I've not been a defender of Jake, but I've also informed people of what he's doing, and it's not as terrible as they think. But if he would have knocked out beloved Mike Tyson in that stage, I would have hated Jake Paul for good reason. Forever. It wasn't a fair fight. And he knows it wasn't fair. After the second round, Jake knew it wasn't fair. And in his credit, I do. So if you want to talk about script, I do think Jake Paul towards the end, it wasn't scripted, but I think he was like, I don't want to knock out Mike Tyson. Not in this stage. You know what I mean? Like, he's 58. He clearly can't defend himself. And I think
and we've all had that. A lot of guys have had those things where it's like, I won it anyway. No, why hurt?
Yep.
Why give him a black eye? What But I mean, maybe I heard him. You take your front six, I'm like, I'll just take the win.
Yep. 100%. And that's why I love having you on the podcast, because you are a true boxing guy. You've been there, you've done that, and you're still involved, in it. You're still doing shows all the time. I see you're still it's like a celebrity shows, but you're still doing stuff actively involved in boxing. And I love that, brother. And I love following you, and I love watching all your stuff. And thank you for taking the time out of your day and out of your time with your family, with your wife, with your kids. I appreciate you coming on the show, man, and at least giving me some of the knowledge. But what I hope happened is we can further inform people that the Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson fight was not scripted or staged. It happened how it was supposed to happen.
It happened exactly how it was supposed to happen. Yeah.
I appreciate you, brother. God bless, man, and we'll chat again.
Trav, you're awesome, brother. If you ever need anything, hey, I love talking. So if you ever need me, you give me a call.
I love it, brother.